Welcome to Risky Thoughts with Rob and Roy.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Roy. And today we have our second panel member, Shervon. Okay, and Shervon is our marketing specialist. He deals with the graphic design and the filming of our project here.
It's obviously still in the works.
It's still in the works, and we're still trying to we're all doing everything at this point. We're all trying to, but yeah. Shervon is responsible for posting our beautiful kind of Instagram, posts.
Also Zhang, I'm not alone.
Yeah, no, of course, Zhang's also here. He's just kind of watching today. But we're gonna, anyways here what I kind of want to explore today, right? I'm moving. We're all moving. We're all changing. Our lives are they're being upheaved, right? And because of a lot of things are happening, the state of the world is changing. Our lives are changing with it. And with Shervon is not born here. All of us are, and I don't know about saying, but we've all grown up here.
We're pretty Canadian.
We're very Canadian, and Shervon has been in the country for how long?
For 5 years now, yeah.
Right. So, why did you even come to this country? That's my question.
Well, hold on a second. Let's take a step back.
Okay.
Shervon, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And
thanks, Rob.
That'll open up the conversation for what we're going.
Appreciate it. So, yeah, I was born and raised in India. Since I would say about grade 10, I always, it was a dream, it's always I would say like an Indian dream, not an Indian dream, but just to move out of the country, especially, and I don't want to categorize anyone in this, but Catholics, normally you'll see their kids moving out of the country to pursue jobs. Normally they'll go to Dubai or something like that. But anyway, my dream was to go either to the US or Canada. Primarily because my dad had some property at that point of time in the US, and Canada because my godfather lives here. So I tried in grade 10. I could probably do high school over here, and but it didn't happen. I tried in grade 12 again, and again it didn't happen. I just visa issues and whatever. But after I finished university, I finished my bachelor's. I just decided to put it in and put in my application to get my marketing in over here, and I started studying here. Came to George Brown here in Toronto in 2016.
So what was the objective? Why move in general out of the country? Because everyone kind of wants to do it. Why do they want to do it? Is it they're not happy with life in India? What's the motive to get out of the country? And I think the whole world pretty much wants to come to North America for whatever reason, but what was the motive for you? Why'd you say it was a dream?
So at that point in time, one of the biggest motives for me is I was breathless. I'll just summarize in that one word. And when I say breathless, it's not because, my city is probably the second most polluted city.
What city is that?
Which is Mumbai. Yeah,
but
Bombay. I like to call it Bombay, but whatever. Mumbai is the actual
main city, right? No, Delhi's the main city.
Delhi is the capital of India, just how Ottawa is for Canada. But Mumbai, you could say, is the financial capital. It's I like to define it as the LA of India, because you have Bollywood originated from there.
Yeah.
So
I thought the financial capital of India was Karachi or...
Karachi is Pakistan.
Pakistan?
That's a neighboring country.
I know that Pakistan is not the same country.
But financial capital because the Bombay Stock Exchange is located in Mumbai, so that's why they call it the financial capital. And they say you can go from rags to riches in a night if you're living in Mumbai,
right?
Because a lot of actors and even a current prime minister was once upon a time some bus conductor,
No way. Modi?
Yeah, Modi. He was one of the biggest stars. If any South, Sri Lanka is listening to it, Rajnikant, he was a bus conductor just doing mimicry, impersonations and impressions of actors and actresses. And he came to Mumbai and he's big now. They worship him as a god. So that's why they call it Mumbai City of Dreams, because you can literally go from rags to riches over there.
So it's the equivalent of New York in the States.
Yeah. So I could say that. I do want to so I have to do my analysis here and deep dive. So tell me about the rags. Is there a lot of poverty in that area? There was actually a couple of weeks ago I was driving with Shervon to Rob's house, and Shervon's just like, I still can't get used to seeing like these massive, gigantic roads and bridges. We're on the 407, right? And like, you remember that moment, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, damn, like this is still like a novelty for you. You know what I mean? And I was just like, really curious, like, what is it? Obviously, there's pictures. We've all watched Slumdog Millionaire. I'm Indian. You know what I mean? Like, that's the worst part. That's the worst part. I don't even know about my own culture, dude. But I'm also Catholic, so it is a kind of very segregated. We are a minority, right? So there like that whole oppression shit that's going on. Same. Maybe that's why my parents left. I don't know. I gotta ask them after this episode. But anyways, Shervon, like so. There's this definitely novelty, and I'm obviously there's a vibe because you said you saw like so much crazy shit like in your life.
Yeah.
You were part of a fishing family.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, like legit,
So I'm just gonna I'm gonna come back to you.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry,
going back to like Rob's, like because I mentioned being breathless, but I did say about the pollution part, yes. But it was not breathlessness physically. It was breathlessness because like you were not able to practice what your thoughts and ideas were. You were very restricted. Like I could not be myself entirely or express my thoughts and ideas that I had. And you were judged like every part of the way. And pretty much like once you're born, your future's already set because like people are like, oh no, you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be a doctor, and if you're not that, then okay, fine, you could be an accountant. If you're not that, and I normally like to identify myself as an artist because I love theater and I love acting, and that is considered like, what's wrong with you?
So is that like all of India, or is that just where you came from?
Mostly all of India. Obviously, I've been informed recently that has changed drastically. Like big time. Like I had a conversation last time with a friend of mine, a long lost friend of mine that was explaining to me how India has changed in the past 5 years. So maybe when I left, it was all across India, but now considering from the city that I came from, Mumbai, the development, like the growth of mindset has changed, has increased a lot.
Yeah,
that's what I want to say.
So I there was a period in time when we were using Omegle. Right. And I also continued to use it.
Okay.
And I actually, most of the people I got for some reason, maybe because it was middle of the day, were from India.
Right.
Like a lot of them were young. Most people on Omegle in general are young. And I got a couple of really interesting characters, but a lot of them were more progressive than I had imagined. Because I do understand, like I know Indians are a very strict culture. I went to engineering, so there was a lot of Indians and Asians in my program. I was definitely the minority as the white kid, and they all had the same kind of background where they had very strict parents, and they were all like programmed to go into some sort of professional realm, whether it was doctor, pharmacist, engineer, whatever. And if they didn't, like I know they got like their knuckles rapped for not performing to the levels their parents expected them to. But I do think that there is a revolution taking place.
It is.
And I don't know if it's because of social media or what, but there is definitely changes. So anyway, that all being said, that's why you wanted to come to the country. You felt restricted. You weren't free.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So that was one. And then in terms of what you were talking about, Roy, coming back to your question, where you're talking about the rags, basically was there exists, and we had a subject while growing up called social sciences or like whatever, something about social, like understanding the social contract, right? And they always mentioned that India was probably is might be right now as well, where like the rich keeps getting way richer and the poor just keeps getting way more poor. And the reason why is like when you're saying rags, right? If you see in Canada, like you see a homeless person, you have supportive programs that will help homeless, like shelters and stuff like that. In India, you don't have that. In India, you literally build a house from scratch, and when I say scratch, is like coconut leaves. Take some plastic, take a billboard banner for that matter, make a shelter, and live on the street.
It's just like the shanties, or is that what they call them, or no?
No, what?
Okay, wait, sorry, my bad.
What is that?
Like, no, like the little shanty towns. I don't know.
What?
You've heard of it, Rob.
I've heard the term shanty, but I'm not sure if it's in this.
Okay, I could be way off, and I could be.
Shanty means peace, right? That's the Hindi word for peace.
Okay, well, I don't know. Sorry.
And you work with a shanty in Home Depot.
I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, like, what these things, you said these houses are, you would actually make a house.
Yeah, well, the same way that you would see like a homeless dude with like the cardboard constructed houses in the city. The difference is that I think the difference is that the scale, like the volume of people who are living as homeless individuals in the city.
Right.
Like you have whole towns and whole cities that are constructed the way you're describing, Shervon. Yes. Here you have the odd individuals that are occupying space downtown. There's like some very small square footage of the city is occupied by homeless. Where there, it's like an entire city is living like this.
Yes.
And how much are they making? I'm trying to get a good picture for North American listeners. Like, do they make? How much money do they make? Like,
do they have jobs?
Do they have jobs?
Like, nothing. Like, remember the time when you called me and like, I'm looking at this person beg on the street. That is the job. Do you define that as a job? I don't think so.
Well, technically it is. What's the actual term for that?
Busking.
But not busking. No. Busking is when you're actually performing a service and you're getting money on the street for it. But like begging for money, there's that way.
Grifting.
Panhandling. That's it.
Panhandling.
There you go. Thank you, Zhang.
Yeah, but again, they're not. It depends on how much people give and whatever, right? You don't know for sure. But where you're like, if we come across on a highway or something, and there's a guy standing with the billboards and give me some cash, maybe we'll give them $1 or $2. He can still go and eat. In India, you give them 1 rupee. That's nothing.
It's like 1/1000th of a dollar.
Yeah. That's nothing. Like I remember when I was growing up, like maybe sometime if I had extra cash, I'll like give it. But then again, like, does that person get all the money you're giving them? No, because there's like
there's a pimp
thing, going in the back.
Panhandling
like,
pimp, yeah.
Exactly, and he's like, bring me the money, I'll just give you food. And I'm like, fuck, what the heck?
Yeah, and if you don't, they'll just kill you.
Exactly.
Or like cut your hands off and shit.
I know, just because you get better rates and shit. It's really...
So this is like this is where the big difference is like when you do this panhandling in India, because my dad went there as well. He was in Bombay for work a long time ago, and I remember him telling me he was trying to tip his limo driver. I think I told you this before.
Yes.
And he tried to tip his limo driver like $5 Canadian, and the people were like, "Are you crazy? Like that's like doubling his salary. Don't give him $5 Canadian." Like, you know. And then I remember they also said to him like, if a panhandler comes up to you, do not give them money in the public. Because you're going to be a target, and everyone's just you won't even be able to walk because there's going to be so many people around.
There's so many people who are doing this type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean the difference is like you have to understand. Here, you look at a person who's homeless, and you can have this opinion. I'm not saying it's correct. It's actually probably very incorrect.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, just go get a job because you can get a job. There's an economy here for you to get a job in.
Right.
I don't think in India, like, there's just not the infrastructure. There's 1 billion of them. It's 1 billion Indians, right?
Right.
So like you can't possibly employ 1 billion people because the economy is just not big enough for that. So like you have to have a huge number of people living on the streets and shit, right? It's a terrible like you can't. What I'm trying to get at is like be grateful.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, for what we have here.
100%, man. Like even the fact that we can sit here in peace in like a house and record, like that is like the ultimate luxury.
Yeah.
You know,
well, right? the contrary point is, which is what I wanted to ask you next, Shervon, is like, now that you're here, are you happier here than you were there?
Oh, definitely. Like I was trying to say, like I felt breathless at that time, right? You're obviously you can preach your ideas and express your thoughts. Maybe you might not agree with me on that, but I feel more at more freedom over here of what I can say whatever I want. How people take it is different. Over there, if you say something they don't agree, they'll kill you.
All right. Well, okay, so I do want to play a little devil's advocate here.
Okay.
I'm still a little bit. I want more clarity and I want more empathy towards what I have and gratitude towards I have. So my question is like, isn't there like a feeling of trapped that you still feel here in any way, shape, or form? Like, you know, the money, the society, social, like pressures for us to conform. Like, because you've seen both. I haven't seen.
Well, see, this is where I think you and our whole platform on this podcast has been a message of like we're doing something wrong here.
Yeah.
When it's just like, well, by comparison,
100%.
Are you sure we're doing something wrong here? Because it's a pretty luxurious lifestyle by comparison.
And I'm trying to speak for that part of my brain and that part of the brain and all millennials that are entitled. You know what I mean? Or, take this for granted. Like, we want more rights. We want more. How the hell can you ask for more when somebody, like, just the slice of nothing, right? Yeah. People would kill for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just sitting down here in peace, and we know that no one's going to come and, like, kill us or steal our shit, and we still want
or that more. We have to beg for food.
We have to beg for food. Like, you might not actually get food and water. You know what I mean? Like, so my question is, like, do you feel some of these things that we're talking about as, like, millennials?
With the social pressure?
The social pressure and there's not enough money.
Well, you've listened to all of our podcasts. Yeah. You know what our message is.
Yeah.
Do you think we're ungrateful pieces of shit for what we say?
I don't know entirely about Raw, but Raw is like I'm not.
Wow, are you serious?
I'm not going to even lie. Like I've had this conversation so many times with Roy in the car, and he's like, "Why, Shervon? Why Canada?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, why Canada?" Yeah. Like I can sit down the whole night, write a big list, and still I won't be done. Why Canada?
Listen, guys, I'm only just asking these questions as like it's just there's a part of me that's just ungrateful. Like there's a part of you that's ungrateful. You know what I mean? That's just the part that's coming out. Obviously, I'm with friends, so I'm talking to you about it in that regard. But
so I have a proposition.
All right.
I think maybe. So Shervon, you're in this country now. Do you have family and friends? Obviously, we're all here. But do you have family that's here?
Yeah. That was so when I. In 2015, actually, not 2016, when I was deciding like which country I should go, obviously I had United States or Canada, and I was inclining more towards United States because I have a thing. If you guys know me, like I have a thing for Latin culture, so I wanted to go to Miami, and my dad had people there, but my godfather, he's Canadian, so he said, no, let him come here, like I'll take care of him. And that's why like my parents were like, you know what, we'll feel more safer if he was in Canada. So I chose Canada to come here. So obviously I have family here, and then there's a couple of other extended cousins over here. So I wasn't entirely alone. If you ever, I know you guys have asked me this before, like when I came, you felt alone. I wasn't alone, but I did have a culture shock. Like, like the first month, I was like, "What? You can drink water off the tap? Really?
No way! Are you fucking serious?
Okay, but
really?
Yeah, because in India, you have like."
No, sorry.
What are you kidding me?
I sound like so like just not like entitled,
like,
but
you're so like uncultured. What's the
uncultured? I don't know what the word is. I am actually more like whatever. The point is like really wow, like that's crazy.
Well,
like,
okay, so this is where I was going to get to my proposition. Is like okay, you and I were both raised in a suburban lifestyle where our parents did a lot of work to make sure our lives were comfortable. You're in this country now. I wouldn't. And I could be way off base here, but do you think you're in a position where you can kind of kick back and everything is going to be okay? Or do you have to go to work every day to make sure you survive?
No, I can't kick back.
Right. See, and like that's the big difference is that we come from a culture where we have a luxury, I'll call it a privilege, whatever, that we don't, not that we ever would, because we weren't raised this way, but if everything went wrong in our lives, we have a safety net.
Okay, so this is very interesting now, because now I'm starting to like piece together thoughts, right? We as individuals, millennials, we're coming into the real world saying, hey, yo man, we're looking for the day we can just do nothing, right? Like, the retirement, or like, this shouldn't have to be so hard. Like, why do we have to work all these hours and stuff? That's what the thoughts we're having. That's actually what that's the aim, right? And I'm just wondering if these kids, and even you, Shervon, is that like a thought in some of these like people that you used to hang around in India, like, oh yeah, like at this point I can just kick back? Or is it like,
hold on, let me rephrase your question. Did you think when you were coming to Canada, did you have a dream of coming to this country so that you can come here and do nothing and have a good life? Or did you have a dream of coming to this country to work hard and prosper?
Oh, no, I can't dream of that. I mean, yeah, I wanted to work hard and prosper. Sorry. Wow, I can't sit back, kick back, and just... I mean, again, another thing, like, I mean, if you're unemployed, the government gives you money.
Yeah.
In India, do that stuff. You will be the next one building a house on the road.
Yeah.
I can picture you, Roy, because
because I can actually build
so
shit.
you kick back and
I think
you can build shit. Yeah.
where I'm going with this whole, like when I say I want to open up a proposition here, I think what I want to really get to is, in my opinion, I think that there's some form of parabolic curve that represents like optimal lifestyle. And it's not, if you're coming here with nothing and you're poor and you have to work just to get food on your table, it's not optimal.
Right.
If you have too much, it's not optimal.
Right.
So there is, I think, this point in between. I think you referenced Jordan Peterson had mentioned some like income amount that was like the optimal amount to keep the collectors away, but not too much that you can get complacent with the amount of money that you have and you can get reckless, and then you start dealing with the issues that you and I complain about.
Yes.
Right? So, and that, I think, is the sweet spot that we should strive for as a culture. But the problem is you get caught up in this idea of getting to that point, and then you can't turn it off. So you get to that marker of, let's say it's $75,000 a year salary, and then you don't want to stop there. You want to just keep moving forward past that 75K without realizing that you're actually now going down the other end of the parabola in terms of quality of life. Because then you get to the point where you and I are, where it's like we're actually at a detriment because we have too much and we get concerned with like meaning crisis.
Right.
That's where we get faced with.
Yes. Right? I do want to reference and kind of pull up like the Maslow's hierarchy. One of our posts, if you know, every week we do post something on Instagram that's kind of mindful, and it's like a tool. Yeah, Shervon worked on this one, extremely beautiful. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So those physiological is the base of it, right? And then the next one was security, like feeling
love
secure,
and relationship,
you know. And then the next ones are esteem, self-actualization, love, and belonging, right? So at some certain level of us working hard, we're gonna get our physiological needs met, you know, in this country,
right? And like that's just it. I think I think we need to be somewhere up that pyramid, but not all the way at the top.
No.
Right? Like, I think if we satisfy all of our needs, then there's nothing left to chase, so it becomes meaning crisis. If you're in a position like you're in, Shervon, where you came to this country to try to do well for yourself, you're going to work yourself to a point where you're going to become successful. And by successful, that's a very loose term to be using here, but let's go with the stereotypical success of making money and having whatever security in your life. You're going to hit that point. And then where do you go from there? Do you keep striving for more? Like, and I think that's the real pivotal point of like discussion. It's like, well, I understand coming to this country, it probably is a better life, because I can understand that in India, there's a lot of pain and suffering around that's very uncomfortable, and you don't want to be part of that. You want to see it. So you come to this country where it's limited. The problem is, I don't think that we're necessarily wrong, Roy, in our sort of process of thinking. It's just that we're on the other end of the spectrum, and we're looking at life because we live, first of all, in a suburban area, so everybody around us is already in the same place as us.
Right.
And we recognize that all of these people are like consume. But Shervon's not in consume mode. Shervon's in save mode. Shervon is in like, I need to put money aside so that I can get to a place where I'm comfortable. Yeah. And like, that's the place where you need to stay, or at least be very close to that place, because then the actual the vices kick in after that point. Once you pass that place of security, you have to be careful. I think that's when you have to shift your perspective to say, I've got what I need. I don't need more.
Right.
Let's stay where we are, right? And let's work every day just to pay the bills, and let's keep life going. And I think where you are is on the other side, like I said, where you have to you have to build from here, right? You can't. You don't want to keep living like you're living now. You want to do a little better, right? So my advice to you, as someone who's like in the country now for 5 years, is when you do get to that point of getting a job that makes you good income, don't let that consume you, and don't become like those who are like me and Roy, who are ungrateful bastards, to have too much in our lives. Yeah. You know, that we look back and say like, oh, the world is all fucked up. Well, maybe, but maybe we're just the fucked up ones.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. So with that ado, pretty much Rob just tell everyone not to listen to us anymore. So I'm just kidding. Obviously, I get it. Like, you know, there's parts of us in our upbringing that are just parts of us, and we can't. We have to work hard on trying to shed that, right?
Yeah, I don't want I want to continue asking Shervon a few more questions.
Yeah,
here.
sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Because like I
Are you
want
ending it? Are you done with me? Is that,
There's pizza coming soon.
like,
so
seriously,
listen.
digital content creator for you, and you're just like, get out from here. No, no.
Well, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So Shervon, now that you're in the country and you've achieved this aspiration of being out of India and in a place where you can flourish, what are your next steps? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? And what are you doing right now to get yourself there?
So I love the fact that you very accurately pointed that I'm in safe mode. I don't know how you did it, but that is true. Like I think since the moment I came in here, I won't lie, since as a 21-year-old, obviously like I got my first salary, so I kept spending a lot. And then when I moved in by myself and I decided, no, I can't be fooling around because I can't live in this country just by relaxing and just spending, living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So I went into save mode, and I've been in save mode. And my mom keeps telling me, like, how much are you saving? Like, I have like
$3 dollars.
Exactly. I have 3 saving accounts, and in that there's like more savings coming, and I'm always looking like, oh, where can I invest and all. So obviously right now I'm still in saving more. In terms of what my future holds, I'm looking to try and get a better job. Of course, like the job I'm working right now is not in my field, so I would love to do this job and hopefully get paid. Even if I'm getting paid 60K, that's where I say I stop my needs. Like if I'm getting 60 to 75K, that's content. Enough for me. I'm not looking to get even way more. Like I'm content. And
I think it's easy to say now, Shervon, because you're in your position.
Yeah.
Quite opposite of where we are.
Yeah.
Right. So it's easy to say that, but when you reach that point, and one day you get married and you're gonna have kids.
Yeah.
Your kids are gonna be in the position that Roy and I were in.
Oh yes.
And like I think the mindfulness is what we're all about, and that's the part that still holds true, which is why don't not listen to us.
Yes, I'm just kidding. Obviously,
I know.
We're obviously playing characters, and the characters is like the millennial sides of us. You know what I mean?
Course.
We're obviously do take things for granted. That's why we're doing this whole podcast to spread that word. But yeah.
Yeah. So now what I would ask Shervon is that, like, going back into time, what would you tell your younger self in India before coming here? Actually, you're probably still nothing. You'd probably say do the same thing that I just did. I think that your advice would be to take the same path that you've taken.
Coming to Canada, advice is just start saving from day one that you step into Canada.
Yeah, don't spend right away.
Just don't. Yeah, I did some mistakes. Financial mistakes, where I didn't need to spend money in certain things, and I look back and I was like, why? I could have saved way more now. It would be way more, and I would be probably in a different position right now. I could. I enrolled into some extra courses that I need to do. But I had the option of going to University of Toronto. And maybe if I did not do that financial decision that time, I could have afforded to go to University of Toronto right now. So my basic thing is to tell my younger self, just save.
Well, I think you actually did the right thing, believe it or not. I think spending a little bit was probably good for you.
Right.
Because it's better that you did it at the beginning and that you learned your lesson and that you move forward from it. Because if you did it later, you can have graver consequences. So now, do you think that people who are in India still wishing to come to this country are still making the right decision?
I think so. Actually, that's funny. Someone asked me the same question 2 or 3 days back, because I believe they had a conversation with someone who was living here, and they said like, oh, we have 2 jobs, and like, we can't live comfortably because we need to have 2 jobs because we need to pay bills.
Cost of living is higher. Yeah?
Cost of living is higher, and I don't disagree with them. There is truth in that, but like, what I was trying to say is like, it's depending on how you spend your money, right? How smart are you in saving, and how well you're putting it. And I do agree with you that doing those mistakes basically opened my eyes. Like that was a stepping stone for me to go further.
Yeah.
Without doing those mistakes, I wouldn't basically, reach to where I am right now. And you also, I don't know if you are aware, but like the immigration, it dropped down really low. And
right now, you mean?
Yeah, really low. So we have about 27,000 applications coming in for like through a program called Express Entry to immigrate, and every person that I'm speaking to that is from India, everybody wants to move now. because it's so easy to move into Canada because they're looking for immigrants.
Yeah.
So, and I was on a seminar as well, and they were talking about how hard it is to come into Canada right now with the given restrictions due to COVID. And 75% of them said they would still come regardless of the hotel quarantine, that they got to pay like 50,000 rupees and then plus an Airbnb to self-isolate. They still want to come in. Now that just speaks volumes to you. Like, even with all this restriction, you still want to come in? In India, they have restrictions, but it's not as dire or strict as we have right now here in Toronto or Ontario for that matter. But they don't mind it. They will still move here now.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that should probably answer your question. They still want to come in.
Yeah, and I don't like, I definitely see why, and you know, I definitely understand that this is a place of opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm glad, first of all, that you are enjoying your life here, because that's the most important part. But I still have my doubts, and I still want to heed some caution, because I think that your mind will change when you get into that position of comfort. You're just going to seek more growth.
Mm-hmm. And there has to be a spiritual side, like a self-actualizing side of your decision making and like your behaviors, right? So, like I definitely, I think so. To kind of moving forward here, right? Are we ready to move forward?
Sure.
Okay, so I think we're going to do a next episode where Zhang's going to be on board, and we're going to try to resolve our own kind of entitledness. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Hearing about Shervon's story, and it's quite remarkable how we are so like needy with so many things, and so we complain so much. You know, it's across the board. Like, I know everybody complains a little bit about small little nuanced things. Like Louis C.K. did I know I'm bringing up Louis C.K. Like, it's not a really good idea, but he is pretty smart and he's funny as hell. He's just talking about like people complaining about being on an airplane. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's like you're flying. Yeah. Like you're in the air.
Insignificant zero. Not
exactly.
Zero.
So it's just like, there's a part of us that just loves to complain. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think we're going to try to unpack that. So without more to do, can we wrap it up here?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up here. Shervon, I'll give you the kind of last words here.
Never mind. If I start, then it's gonna go on further. So I'm just gonna let it be.
So open it up, man. Who cares? We're not here to like shut it down.
Listen,
say what you gotta say, man.
Yeah, say what you gotta say.
Well, so I wanted to kind of respond to Rob's thing, right? Maybe in the future I might have different self-actualization thoughts. And I might want to go more further because I guess, like, which human is not greedy? Like, once you get like a taste of something, you want more of it. And if you have the resources and something available to, you want to go more. But then there are different factors that kind of like slap you, and probably maybe that's too rigorous for me to use the word slap, but try to ground you back down. And one of the big factors are my parents. And the reason why is like how my dad, like he himself came from living in a hut, and my mom did the same thing. Yeah. So they always shared that story, which is why like I am so grateful and blessed to have them, that they keep me grounded. Like, even though I'm in Canada right now, they will tell me like, don't get carried away.
Yeah, your roots are still tied.
Exactly. So I hope and I pray that at that time, when I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't want to stop, they will be there like, take a look around you, son. Do you really need this?
Right.
Are you grateful for all this that you have? Mm-hmm. Can you probably help someone else, you know? And also another thing that I look back, another factor is the partner that you have. The people around you, obviously, like your friends and everything.
Of course.
But your partner, another, plays a big role. So my partner currently, she comes from Colombia, and she herself has seen worse kind of stuff, and she herself is also, she keeps me grounded and doesn't like, and I'm saying like the smallest thing, like I also tend to get impulse, like I want to buy this thing right away. And she's like, are you sure? Do you actually need it? Like, because we need to save for everything and this and that and everything, right? So I'm happy for having people like that who like, you know, pull me back and like take a step back, look around, and then think, do you actually need it? So that's basically what I want to say. But who knows? Maybe I might not. I would give deaf ear and just do it myself.
Well, I think it's all about your character, and it's all about how mindful you keep yourself. Now, I worked for some really rich people who were actually farmers. Like their family was poor as well in Italy when they came to this country. They're now the richest families. Like they belong to some of the richest families in Ontario. And we're talking like billions of dollars, and they're greedy as ever could be. And even though they come from the grounded roots, they've chosen to ignore their roots and just be consumed by the greed.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm not saying that you're going to become that way. I'm saying like continue to think the way that you do, because it will keep you grounded. And it's important. The reason I want to have this message, this conversation being broadcasted is. We've recently gotten a lot more listeners from India, which is great because we put it on Ghana now. So a lot of people are listening to it out there. And I think it's important for those who are listening in India that are in the position that you were fortunate enough to be in, that they want to come to this country and they want to come here and prosper, that they keep that in the back of their mind on their journey as they move through life and as they move into this country or US or wherever else they want to move to be in a more developed community. Always remember your roots. That's the most important part. That's all I wanted to stress. So...
Okay. Yeah, so I this time I would wrap it up, Roy, but I'm going to take this away from you. So, hey guys, thanks for listening to Risky Thoughts with Rob and Roy. We are available on all Spotify, on YouTube, and various other. You can check our Instagram page, riskythoughts.to. You can click the link tree, and you will have access to all that we are streaming on. Like Rob said, we are on Ghana now, so my Indian people, like namaste to you from Canada, and Shabaka, we'll see you soon.
See, now that's how you execute a close, right? Okay.
Wow.
Hey man, I'm an actor. Like, I love showmanship, guy.
God damn it. We need to fire Shervon.
I love this job. Don't do that to me.
All right. I do want to, like, one last thing here. It's like,
you won the
let's
last
support Shervon in his journey, and let's like, I want to give him the 60K, so we're gonna need more listeners. 60. So if you guys can share it, let's try to help Shervon and his and our cause here.
Is this a GoFundMe?
Like a perfect. I don't know. We don't even have one.
We should open a GoFundMe.
We should definitely.
You guys
in Shervon's name.
All right, guys. Good night.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks a lot for listening.